Fans, we are back live once again on the Cheap Heat Productions podcast empire. My name, as always, is Jack Kilby, no gimmicks guy on the socials. And I want to welcome you to episode 3 of Countdown to Flex in the Beginning, a series we're doing here to talk about the huge show coming up on September 26th, the debut of Finger Lakes Extreme Wrestling. And tonight we have a man who is really in an interesting position on the card, in that he's going to be on the very first match against a wily veteran, HC Loc. It's a pretty pressure-filled position, but knowing what I know about this man, I'm not sure he's feeling it. He oozes confidence. He is the man known as the investment Price Pure Gold. Price, welcome to the show today, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, brother. I'm excited to be here.
I guess it makes sense to rewind the tape back to the beginning and talk about, what motivated you initially to become involved in the wrestling business?
Well, since I was a kid, it's the only thing I've ever really wanted to do was be a wrestler, and for a long time, you grow up, you go to school, you go to college, and you got to think about getting a real job and stuff like that. And that's kind of like where my family was putting pressure on me to go to college and to find a career and stuff like that. So I never really thought about, as a young adult, being a pro wrestler until maybe I was 25 or 26, and my my best friend and roommate at the time invited me to a local wrestling show, Upstate Pro Wrestling, and literally from the very first match was Colin Delaney, and I was hooked immediately, man. I would just fell in love, and instantly I was like, I have to try to do this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you made that decision, how did you break into the business, and can you talk about what your training process looked like?
Yeah, so I continued to go to all the Upstate Pro Wrestling shows. I became friends with not just the wrestlers, but the owner of the promotion. And I didn't miss a show, man. I was right there in the front row, and a lot of the guys would say for a long time, "When are you gonna come? When are you gonna join? When are you gonna join?" And then eventually, for my 30th birthday, I went to Texas to see the Royal Rumble live as a gift to myself, and it was like the most incredible experience of my life, And when I came back, I was like, I have to do this, Like, I've talked about it. I talked about it and talked about it for years, and I just decided I have to do it, And when I started talking to the guys and asking questions about the school and training and stuff, I found out that the school was literally right around the corner from my house. Like, I could walk there, So I jumped right on it, man, and the rest is history, as they say. I was there every single day. I didn't miss a practice. Anytime an opportunity came up to get on the road, I was the first one there. I was very fortunate in the beginning of my career when I first started, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And that I think that motivation of which you speak carries on into the present, which I'll ask you about something perhaps a little controversial in a minute, but I have to ask you about the investment, that moniker of yours. How did that end up being either bestowed on you, or how was it chosen, and what does it say about Price?
The investment was actually a nickname given to me by my best friend. He came up with it one day, and we both liked it, and just kind of roll with it. And initially I think when I first started with the name Price Pure Gold and the moniker, people automatically think of like guys like Ted DiBiase, and you know, I get that comparison all the time, and like, so the money gimmick, I became the money gimmick, you know, and so I just kind of went with it and leaned into it, man. But now I'm about 6 years in, and I want to lean away from like the money thing, you know, like the investment is the time that I put into this. The investment is the time, you know, I put in the gym, in the on the road, you know, in practice, you know, writing and studying matches, you know, and preparing my promos, you know. That's the investment. That's the real investment, you know.
Mhm.
So like, in my eyes, I'm just a personification of that, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think I think that that's the obvious comparison, you know, the financial end. But a lot of folks that have seen your promo work, really really compelling stuff, from where I sit. And I've seen a lot of promos up and down the card, but you really capture the audience when you speak. And one of the times I heard you speak, you were, I guess, the best way to put it is a little bit critical of some of, you know, your peers, on the independents, in terms of not being serious about the business, and especially underscoring the fact that you are and you have big lofty goals. Can you talk about what inspired that particular promo?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm constantly around guys that they're unsure of themselves and they don't know what they want out of this business, you know. And like, I literally trained with a guy not long ago, and we were doing suplexes that day. And if you know about a suplex, you know, you really got to trust the person you're in there with. You know, you guys are putting your body on the line. You're putting your hands, your life in the hands of another person. You know, so we had a kid in our training talk about, oh, I don't know if, you know, I don't know what I want out of this. I just kind of came here for fun. I don't know and that guy is doing suplexes on people, you know, and he ended up dropping a young lady on her head in that class. You know what I mean? So that type of stuff is the stuff that I don't appreciate. I don't stand for. You know, like, I want to be in there with people that take this serious. I want to share the ring and train with people who aren't are sure that they want to do this. You know, I don't want to put my life in the hands of a guy who isn't sure he wants to even do this. You know what I mean? And doesn't won't even put effort into suplexing a young girl. You know, like, I don't know. We all have, like I mentioned in the promo, we all have different reasons for why we do this and why we want to be here, you know. And I have my reasons and other people have theirs, but I don't want to share the ring with somebody who isn't sure of themselves and isn't sure they want to be here, at least, you know.
Yeah, and you also talked about, you know, the fact that it involves, you know, training, a diet, getting gear, wrestling boots, a real. Have you ever been told that you have kind of, for lack of a better phrase, or maybe it's the right phrase, an old school attitude in terms of that dedication and respect that you bring to the table?
Yeah, people have told me that, and I credit that to my age. You know, most people don't know or realize how old I actually am. I'm 35, almost 36 years old. You know, I got into this business when I was 30. You know, and most of the guys that I'm working with are 19, 20, 21, 22-year old kids. You know, or just breaking in the business who don't know who guys like Harley races. You
Mm,
know,
mm,
guys who have never watched a Bret Hart match. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like, so yeah, I'm an old school guy, man. I grew up in the early 90s, man. Hulk Hogan was the biggest thing in my life as a child, you know, like
mm,
Macho Man, Bret Hart, those guys like Razor Ramon, those were my heroes as a child, you know. Most of these guys that we're training with now have never even seen any of these guys' matches, you know. So they don't like that style of wrestling, or it doesn't fit with the new age wrestling and today's wrestling or whatnot. But these are the guys that inspired me to be here, you know.
Well, that's a very, very solid foundation. Speaking of old school, though, you're part of a successful tag team known as Greed. Those of us that are old school in terms of our fanhood really appreciate tag team wrestling. It's something that certainly doesn't get the shine that it used to. What do you like about tag team wrestling as opposed to singles competition? And do you have a preference per se?
You know, I love going out and I love going being Price Pure Gold in the ring and having an awesome, maybe like 15, 20-minute type main event with some guy. But my favorite wrestling is tag team wrestling, man. It can literally be the most beautiful thing to witness, you know, and there's kind of like a lot of talk about how there's not a strong sense of tag teams anymore, and like no guys really look like the Legion of Doom or Demolition, or you know what I mean. There's not Guys don't even look like tag teams anymore. You know, same can be said for me and my partner. You know, but our specific town, Rochester, New York, we have at Ground Zero Wrestling Academy. We have 6 coaches, and they're all tag team specialists. You know, 4 of them are tag teams together. You know what I mean? So like, we really focus on tag team wrestling here in training. That's like that is the heart and soul of Rochester wrestling. And we just literally this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we just put on the Dunn and Marcos Cup in honor of Dunn and Marcos. If you guys are familiar with the Ring Crew Express, former ROH guys, you know, they were kind of the precedent. They kind of set the bar, you know, back then for all of us today here in Rochester, particularly, you know, tag team wrestling. So it's in my blood, man. It's in the roots of where we train, man. Tag team wrestling. You have to love it, man. It's the most beautiful thing in the world.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In terms of working multiple companies, paying dues, being you know, in a territory, for lack of a better term, is it your intention to go out there and get your name exposed to as many different fans as possible to create a buzz around the name Price Pure Gold? Because that certainly seems to be what's happened. Was that just something rather than say homesteading and staying put in one spot in particular, one company in particular?
Man, I'm just doing what I think needs to be done. You know, like I'm taking opportunities. I'm going places when spots open up. If people reach out to me, I'm going. You know, like I'm just doing what I think you need to do, man. You know, of course, my dream is to be uh, working for a major company someday. You know, I want to do this for a living. That's my goal. That's my dream. Um, but I guess I don't think about fan base, or you know, I'm not doing this stuff because I'm asking for attention or anything like that. Like I don't think about how many followers or likes I have. You know, I'm doing this because I love this, you know, and I want to go out there and I want to be a pro wrestler. I've always just wanted to be a wrestler, man, you know, and I'm just doing I'm having matches that I think I would enjoy as a fan. That's my goal when I'm performing, you know, and not just trying to make my opponent look good. You know, I want the fans to be entertained by the match that we're having. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I put my everything into this, man. My heart and soul into this business, you know?
Yeah, in other words, for all the right reasons. Who would you cite if you had to boil it down to your toughest opponent and or match to date?
Uh, you know, Colin Delaney, every time I get in the ring with him, he pushes me to my limits, man. You know, it's just something about, I've been in there with the best at this point. You know, I've wrestled Bill Collier a number of times. You know, I've wrestled Sean Carr. I've wrestled Matic. I've wrestled my own partner, Julio Diamante, you know, and he's probably my favorite opponent, but nobody pushes me. Nobody has pushed me in the past like Colin Delaney.
Mm-hmm.
He takes me to the limit every single time I get in there with him, you know. So not just my coach. He's not just my coach. He's a good friend, and he is probably my favorite guy to get in there with.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Finger Lakes Extreme Wrestling, the company that right now is on the lips of so many fans in the Northeast, in Ontario. Quite a buzz around the company and this big debut coming up. How did you get involved in the promotion, and when were you told in it's got to be a daunting sort of situation that you were going to be on the first match to open the show, to set the tone for the entire company? And we'll talk about your opponent right after this.
So I don't know how much is well known about this, but HC Loc, my opponent, you know, he's the guy who reached out to me, and he's the guy putting all this together, and he wanted me on the show, and he wanted me in the first match, and he wanted me to be his opponent. You know, so that automatically meant the world to me. You know, I care very much about HC Loc. He's had a great hand in my career. He believes in me, you know, and that means the world to me. And the fact that he wants me to be the person in this position just makes me want to go out there and have the very best performance that I can for him, you know, for him. This isn't just about a match anymore. You know, I want to be the best I can for him, to reciprocate the things that he's done for me in my career.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of Loc, I mean, his resume is well documented. ECW original, ROH tag team champion. When you're stepping in the ring with him, that's obviously going to be one of your most important bouts to date. But are you thinking down the line about what this could mean for? You've got big goals, you've got big dreams. Are you thinking what this could mean for a pecking order in the company? Because I'm sure when Flex Wrestling crowns its first world heavyweight champion, that you want to be in that conversation, if not right up at the top. Are you feeling a lot of pressure given this situation?
Nah, none at all, honestly. I live for this stuff, man. You know, I love this stuff, and championships don't matter to me. Rankings don't matter to me. You know, a victory is a victory. A loss is a loss and a lesson. You know, I go out there and I wrestle who I'm asked to wrestle. I put on the best performance I can. You know, and where I end up, I end up. You know, that stuff never really made a difference to me. Like at the end of the day, I just want to go out there and I want to perform. And I'm honored and I'm privileged, you know, and I'm fortunate to be able to be put in a position to open up Flex Wrestling, especially the first ever show, first ever match. It's a privilege, and I'm not taking it lightly by any means.
Mm-hmm. I heard you mention when you were talking about that match that you acknowledge what a what a prime position it is and an honor it is, but you also said that it's a shame that it's going to be at the expense of HC Loc. Is what did you mean by that? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to have your hand raised at the end there, or what's your mindset going into this? I get that you're in a situation that is quite prestigious. You recognize that you're a man who's respectful of the business, but are you thinking that this is a match that you're going to have to really make a statement, or what's your psychology right now?
I am taking this match a little more serious just because I know how important it is to HC Loc. You know what this means to him. You know, and what I meant by it's unfortunate it has to come at the expense of my opponent HC Loc is that he wanted me to be his opponent, and he made it very clear what this match means to him. So he is going to get the very best version of Price Pure Gold that night. And whatever it takes is a moniker that I very much live my life by. So it doesn't matter what I have to do. HC Loc would understand.
Interesting. Fans, it's said a lot that tickets are going fast, but this isn't an untrue statement. Now, Flex Wrestling in the beginning, Friday, September 26, 2025 at the Mud Creek Bison Ranch in Savona, New York. Make sure you don't hesitate and go to flexwrestling.com to take in what really is, no hyperbole here, history in the making. And in addition to this tremendous opener, HC Loc against Mr. Pure Gold, there's so many other great matches on this card, not to forget the main event, which is Sean Carr versus another ECW original, the legendary Man Beast Rhino. It's all happening Friday, September 26, 2025. Make sure you get your tickets at flexwrestling.com. Price, before we let you go, I guess the obvious question is, you've talked about your goal to be involved in a big national company, but you're also a man who's making a name for himself with a tremendous opportunity in Flex Wrestling. If you could narrow it down to what your goal in Flex specifically would be. You've said that belts don't mean that much to you. It's not your motivating factor. You do it for love of the industry, but specifically talking about Finger Lakes Extreme Wrestling, what are you hoping to achieve?
I guess I just want to prove every week and every show that I go out there that I'm a wrestler to be taken serious. You know, like HC Loc knows that. HC Loc put me in this position for a reason. You know, like I want to go out there. I want to prove every single week that I am the best around here. You know, and I'm trying my very best to improve every single time I go out there. So, I just want to keep doing my thing, man. I want to keep wrestling. I want to wrestle on every show if I can, and if they want to put me in the main event eventually, I'll be ready for it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I think you make a good point there in that you have a great name out there now. You're poised for next level stuff, and a victory here against the legendary HC Loc would definitely be a great step towards that. And fans are going to want to get those tickets at flexwrestling.com. Be there early. Don't miss any of the action. The bell hits at 7 p.m. And this man, Price Pure Gold, will be in that match. Price, before we let you go, where can you be found on all the social media platforms, sir?
You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, just Price Pure Gold. I have an X account. I don't really use it a lot, but people tag me and stuff. There's constantly stuff happening there. So you can find me any of those places. Look up Ground Zero Wrestling. We're constantly putting out product. You know, we're doing Facebook, YouTube matches every Monday. I'm the host of the Ground Zero podcast. You can check those out on Patreon. You know, Ground Zero Wrestling or Price Pure Gold. You can find me any of those places.
Well, I certainly appreciate your time, Price, and I'm very much looking forward to all the matches on In the Beginning, but definitely I'll be there watching and covering all the action in your first match. I wish you all the best, and thank you for the interview today.
Thank you very much for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
Fans, that's it for episode 3 of Countdown to In the Beginning. Be sure to tune in next week. We'll be having episode 4. Until then, I'm Jack Kilby. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Cheap Heat Productions. Don't forget to hit the notification button and you won't miss any of our upcoming interviews,